turn on. Oh,
When I graduated elementary school, I
okay,
a little bit farther.
perfect. A year ago, this channel went through a bit of a renaissance. I was just a very conflicted, confused kid, I think. And you can see it. This channel, I actually abandoned it for a few years, I think. It was me as a kid wanting to go and just record clips of that I recorded with my friends. Just clips of when I was hanging out, when I was playing with them. And, just make something good and memorable. And I did. There's a clear difference, at least for me personally, between what the videos I found most fun and genuine and just I wasn't thinking too much about it. I just wanted to make something cool versus the ones where I was trying to cater to an audience that also I didn't really have. It was informative. It was a good step along the way, but of course it wasn't to my advantage because I wasn't having fun doing it. And then I let it die. I let it die after this was kind of around the pandemic and the numbers weren't panning out. I just kind of let it pass. And then last summer, I don't know what it was exactly. Maybe it was just a bit of the point in my life that was going on, the transition from high school to university. Maybe it was just I was talking to a little bit less people at the time. I just had a lot of things kind of flying around my mind, and I wanted to say them. Like I wanted to do something with them. And I looked upon my channel. I was like, you know what? I don't think anyone really watches this anymore. I don't think anyone. That light's gonna stay on, isn't it? Whatever. I don't think anyone's really watching or paying attention, and I don't mind. And I released a series of videos where I was just talking. There was no music, no fast cuts or anything like that. It was just, I would sit down, I would talk for 20 minutes, I would cut it down to 10 minutes, and I would just throw it up. And a lot of the topics revolved around creativity in art or life and how to approach it best. A lot of it, I think, came from a place of worry. Worry about what university was going to hold for me, worry about what the future had in store. A lot of it was figuring out my own values. Eventually, that started to lead to some more interesting presentation. I started to post them, and then I started to say, hey, I could do this a little bit better. And September entries hit, and it was a little more artistic. October entries was a big step for me, because that was when I think that was the first one I used real music, and I used Touch by Daft Punk. Instead of me just talking, explaining these ideas really directly, I wanted to kind of express them and show them and capture some of the moments a little more interestingly. And it was like a 4-minute video that I just cut up of different highlights. And there you go. November entries, I tried to do the similar thing. And then there was no December entries, but there was a chance encounter. And that was still one of my personal favorite projects. It's not a perfect video. I actually don't like how I edited the start of it, but I remember I wanted it so done. Towards the end of the week of editing that, I was just like, let me just get it up and get it out. Some of the old editing prowess came back to me from back when I was like editing Fortnite videos and Valorant, like back when I was editing games. For a bit, I started to focus on just capturing some experiences. That's been some of the more recent videos. I've learned a lot. I've been exposed to a lot, and I'm grateful for all the people and inspirations that have kind of led me on that path. Because I look at some of the videos, I'm like, those videos, they're my journals. I've taken journals everywhere. Hours upon hours of voice memos in my phone. I have written journals from back in the day. I've recorded these videos, like 90% of the footage will never make it into a video. Taken notes for what I called the album series and now the film series. And it's just, half of it has become a personal diary. I've thought a lot, I've said a lot, asked a lot, worried a lot. And at least at this point, when I'm kind of in the middle of a, at least relatively calm summer compared to what it could have been, compared to what it was in the past, I think I'm at a nice little turning point again for what the future holds. And that's why I thought it'd be fitting to come back out to the same parking lot, shoot a similar scene, but bring out a slightly more brighter uniform today. I got to focus a lot on my values. Where do I want to apply my effort and time? Who are the types of people that I want to surround myself with? What do I find important? I don't think enough people do pay attention to it. And the issue is then you go and you lead your life in a way that you might end up regretting. You rack your mind about things that don't really deserve it. And when you live mindlessly, you will eventually pay for it. That's kind of my prediction here. A lot of those nights, I think I was even I was I was thinking too much. Genuinely, I was just worried thinking too much. I came to a lot of nights, a very all or nothing way of thinking. My goals were pretty lofty, and they still are lofty, but the issue was maybe the pressure. I think it was just genuinely racking my mind a bit. I credit the music I listened to for a lot of my character and success and lessons in confidence in yourself, in personal achievement, in purpose. A lot of it came from my greatest idols and the music I listened to. And I noticed that a lot of people, especially the people that look like me, didn't get to share in those influences, who have worked so much harder than me and who've been able to not crack under the immense pressure that I'm lucky I never felt from my parents or my community. But you have this group of people who are particularly excellent with their abilities, driven by factors that they don't take the time to consider. We all want to be rich and we want to be comfortable, but at what point we too rarely ask ourselves how much is enough? How much do I really want? What do I really want it for? I'm sure to a lot of people this might come as common sense, but it's easy to get wrapped up in it all. How do you have these millionaires and moguls and people who are so bright and so skilled and to a degree lucky, and they don't even know their own family? They go home and their daughter's being raised by their babysitter, by the nanny. That's ridiculous to me. I wanted to be able to inspire people to believe in themselves. I wanted to instill the values that I found so important. And as I realized over the year, I guess I didn't just want to do it in music, as much as I like music, but a big lofty goal number 2 was revolutionizing education. There are certain generations that are defined by generational, once in a lifetime events. The most recent and most important of this were the baby boomers, right? The baby boomers are a part of the population that are integral to any conversation about politics, economics, or any type of social change, because there's so many of them. It was a significant period. I think the next significant generational event generation will be the kids growing up right now, who from the age of 5 were given an iPad and who are growing up in an age where AI can do a lot of things for you. I'm grateful for many of the lessons I've learned in lecture, but also many of the lessons I've learned looking around the lecture hall. And there's some people in some majors who I question the value of their education, because it's very easy to write an entire essay in just a few minutes now by writing in a prompt to some AI writer, like some artificial intelligence writer, writing make it better 4 or 5 times and then just submitting it. And some of them they don't get caught, or they'll be cheating on online tests and stuff, and that's fine. There's a side point that it kind of suggests of how I think hiring managers will have to be a little bit more perceptive in who they hire. Maybe certain degrees values have diluted, because and it's a shame for the people who really do try and the people who have been pushing for it for so long, but it's no longer guaranteed that you had to study and work and push so hard to get those results. There are some intruders here, maybe. So it's a world where it's easier than ever to access any information and present it and communicate it effectively. That part of thinking can be kind of replaced for a lot of people, or at least that's what they're mistaken to think. And you have a group of kids who were raised on technology and raised on the internet, especially I'm talking the kids who grew up during the pandemic. I'm hearing all these horror stories of 5 and 6-year-olds who finally returned to school and they don't know how to act. Even elementary school and high schoolers, they're not the smartest. They can't speak that well to other people, and they don't know how to behave. They missed a lot of formative years of dealing with other kids directly. They may be influenced by the content that they see on social media. Oh shit, I'm low on battery. The stuff that sells well on YouTube, the great algorithms and stuff, isn't necessarily stuff that is intelligent, right? I think they were stripped of a lot of the great influences. They're the ones that are most effective. I've long found religion to be an interesting topic. I myself am not part of any church or anything, but I appreciated a lot of the things that they celebrated. They often boast a strong sense of community and community values. They present elders who are wise, and they kind of model what you should be like, how you should act. what virtues you should live by, what practices you should implement in your life to reflect upon yourself, to be grateful. These are, generally productive, good things. I'm not an anthropologist, I'm not a historian, but that presence of wise elders or that respect for the old traditions maybe has gone down a bit. The issue is, along with that, we lost some of the ideals. We lost sight of the importance of having a greater purpose in mind. Maybe we've started to act a little bit more selfish, and maybe that's what's leading to some of these people feeling more hollow, more depressed, or maybe it's just one of those factors. Maybe we've lost our sense of connection and community. Just a couple days ago, I texted a lot of old friends that I from my first year. It's July right now when I'm recording this, so I haven't seen a lot of them for over 2 months. But I just want to check in on them, right? Because they're good people, and I hope to see them more next year and in following years. But a lot of the time, it can feel awkward. Which is these are people that I enjoyed talking to all through the year, but I don't want to bug you, or I don't want to seem a little bit weird, like I'm a little bit coming on a little bit too strong. And the community is totally shattered, which is funny. In the past, you didn't have the option to do that. And now you do have the option to do it, but a lot of us are too scared to take it. You got to kind of lead there. We need a reinstatement of those values, and we need also an evolution in education. I think that's the big thing. Kind of how they stopped teaching people to use abacuses when the calculator came out. We're going to have to teach people how to use tools like artificial intelligence effectively. And I think here's the advantage. I was born in a very lucky time when I still knew a life before my iPad with YouTube, even though I've dumped a lot of time into it. I still grew up in a time where I'd sit in front of my box TV and watch iCarly at 6 a.m. And the advantage of it was I was still taught to use my brain a little bit. You may not be able to tell, but just a little bit. And then when these new tools came in, I was able to take them and enhance what I had, right? We need people to be smart. We need them to be capable. Because the way I see it is, you can fake as many essays as you want. And you can pass all the trackers as many times as you want. Pay for the premium subscription, whatever. And you'll pass the tracker. But you can't hide from yourself from being stupid. You can't. Even if you're not aware of it, maybe you're that dumb. But if you're dumb, you're dumb. And we shouldn't be dumb, because we need smart people, smart societies to lead us through great problems, to advance us onto new issues. I'm talking on a kind of macro scale right now. A dumb population is one that's easily controlled. Like that, I don't want to get too far into that. But also, we need great thinkers. We need people who can continue to innovate. And there will always be a minority. There will always be a certain group that's raised a little bit better, that's more driven, that's more creative, that doesn't let these things kind of stop them from where they should be. But I'm interested in kind of revolutionizing education because I think it's a big deal. And I think the main culprit is the parenting, right? We've become a generation of lazy parents. And it's hard for me to claim at 19 years old without a kid. But you cannot throw your kid in front of an iPad without any restriction and expect them to turn out well. There are certain responsibilities that you have to take on to be a great parent. And that's the issue. The barrier of entry to being a parent is astronomically low. You just need to pop one out, is what I'm saying. And the issue is, a lot of people just popped one out and they didn't care. And maybe they were struggling with their own, they were busy, whatever, I understand. But you have to read a book with your kid. You have to try, right? You have to instill in them the important virtues that were taught to you. You have to teach them how to work hard, how to be virtuous, how to be humble, how to work with others, how to discuss, how to stand up for themselves, how to be ambitious, but also how to be humble and caring and grateful. You have to teach them, sit down with them, for some math, help them out, or teach them how to use Google. If they're asking you why the sky is blue, maybe sit down and actually try to answer it with them instead of just brushing them off. Some of these parents, they give up on it. They just and maybe kids are annoying. I get it. But they give up on it, and then they're also distracted. I walk around my block and I'm seeing parents pushing their stroller or walking their kid, and they're on TikTok themselves. Like they're face down in their phone, earbuds in with their kid. Maybe I'll come back and I'll explain it a little bit better one day, or maybe I'll touch on it more. But I just wanted to maybe record this so that when I go and revolutionize education in 10 years, I'll be able to look back on my purpose whenever I lose my way. But that was kind of big goal number 2. Big goal number 3, at the moment, I was down in Toronto with my dad and we were walking around, driving around, and I saw this lineup around the corner. Or not around the corner, this lineup, and it scalloped, or it folded upon itself. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I turn over, it's the Brandy Melville store. It was just a Saturday. The Brandy Melville wasn't it wasn't a grand opening. It wasn't some limited time pop-up shop. It was just a Saturday. But that wasn't the only insane line I saw that day. We kept driving around. And I saw this other one, and this was the line that went around the block, like genuinely went around the corner. And I'm like, oh, is this like, what is this, Brandy Melville too? Or is it like an actual pop-up store or something? And my face dropped when I drove by and I saw the sign, and it was the food bank. It's like kind of out of a movie to me. I ran into 2 places, the only 2 places in Toronto that I saw with lines out the door were the Brandy Melville store and the food bank. So that'll be maybe big goal number 3, trying to get people fed. And it won't happen alone. I can't do that alone, but I can do it with other people who have been taught how to be charitable. This is why I need you and myself to be good parents. This is why we need to be great teachers. We need to be responsible with how we teach and how we learn, right? If we raise a generation that's not interested in teaching themselves, that's not interested in helping out others, that's not interested in trying hard and working hard, they're going to fail. A little bit cynical, a little bit too cynical, but I think there is some credence to what I'm saying here. And to do all of this, of course, I'm studying electrical engineering, not software engineering. It could have been software engineering, but as I kind of joke with my friends, I wanted to break the stereotype somehow. I mean, I already got the black hair, brown eyes, and glasses. If I wanted to do software engineering and business, I could, like the finance quant pipeline was sitting right in front of me. And some days I still do kind of wonder what the hell I was thinking. Like maybe I should have just gone for it. Maybe it's hard to stay consistent, but kind of nights like this, videos like this to remind myself, they help. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. I've been saying I'm excited for it. I hope I don't lose my mind. I hope I don't lose my perspective. I hope I don't ever, because when I came back here a year ago, I was quite the confused kid, quite the conflicted kid. And over the last year, I've learned that of some of the things that I was exploring in my mind and realizing, I was right about some of it. I was wrong and mistaken about a lot of it, and I wasn't even aware of most of it, right? Everything from what it is that kind of bugs me and keeps me up at night to how to communicate that and how to present it effectively and how to kind of tell a good story while you're at it. The art of a great album. I started the album series December 26th, 2022. And it's going to be 4 albums. And it's since grown to 308. And I am currently at 97. Igor, Tyler the Creator, was 97. The original plan was, you can go back and you can see my commentary on the first and second video. It's not as fluid as a commentary as I might hope to give now, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad it exists. And I'm glad I showed the notes a little bit. They've only grown longer, but yeah, that was a fun project, and it still is. And it's kind of grown into other parts of my life. Now there's a film series. I just recently watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That was some awesome stuff. Trying to read, just trying to be more mindful of these things. And I look back and I'm like, wow, this all happened in a year. I started listening to these interviews and talks and speeches within the last few months. I started to question what it was I was doing, but not so worriedly, but just kind of genuinely, earnestly. Within the last year, I started um, acting my priorities out a little bit more, both in what I want to stand for, who I want to be with, and my goals. If I sat down and said, "Hey, I find it important to keep your friends close," I'd come home on winter break and I'd come home on the summer, and I'd actually, text the group chat a couple times. That's all stuff that's kind of happened in the last year, and it gives me a little bit of hope that I was able to take on that first year. Um, learn so much, be a little cognizant, and not totally lose my mind. And now I can sit here a year on and talk with a little bit more confidence in my voice, a little bit more greater purpose in my messages. So that's what I'm excited for. Will it all pan out? We'll see. Sometimes I think my dreams are a little bit megalomanic, if that's a word. No, that means to take over the world. But I like the word megalomanic. Maybe a little bit ambitious. But I was taught that your dreams should be so big that they should scare you. Reach for the stars, so if you fall, you land on a cloud, you know? It's a beautiful night, though. Learning to enjoy it. Another good night, part 2. That's what I would name it, but, I think 3 people will get the reference, so it's okay. A little bit poetic for myself, to come back to the same spot. Grown up from Gandalf the Grey, it was a black hoodie, but from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White. I don't know what'll have to happen next year. I'll have to be back, but come back with new findings, some new equipment, and just see what's in store. I think the only thing keeping me going was the routine. I came very close to just I wanted to just drop it all, because in my mind it was a choice, an absolute choice between engineering or studying engineering and business versus studying or pushing my time. Sorry, I'm going to try to, there we go. Pushing my time and pursuing music, right? But it's not just about the music and the engineering, but it's kind of what it represented to me. A more conventionally successful, selfish, grinding lifestyle versus the stuff that I found important and valuable and fulfilling, right? Did I want money or did I want self-respect? And maybe, just maybe, it doesn't have to be so hard of a choice. Maybe you can both put on your great shows, and maybe it won't be to a world tour, and you can see and travel the world, and maybe it won't be all the time, and you can still be a great person, right? Maybe you can work at a transit company and make decent money and not want to, and not show up to work every day totally miserable, right? That's a nice future I also dream of, because most chances are, I'm sure there are a lot of people who kind of are able to speak as boldly or as, what's the word I'm looking for? As almost delusionally as I can. But maybe not all of them find that insane success. I don't think I will fail if I can stay true to my character. And that's the light. I think this happened last time too. And I know what I did last time. I came prepared. Guys, I'm a seasoned veteran at this. Just shine the light up get the diffuse lighting. I think we'll be fine. Not just fine. I think we'll be great. Just bring your people up with you,